Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 34 of the Limitless TCG podcast all about competitive Pokemon. I am your host, Connor Hayward, and joining me, as always, is my regular co-host, Robin Schultz. How are you doing?
Hey, yeah, doing good. We've been away for a few weeks,
We
right?
have.
But ready to get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird few weeks, at least for me, like work-wise. I haven't played an awful lot of Pokemon. Of just having things kept cropping up at like whenever me and Robin would be like, "Hey, we should probably record a podcast." Things consistently came up to be like in the middle of when I needed to do that, and it was really annoying. But we are back now, and thank you very much for sticking with us and through all the delays. This is we do this for you guys, which we see by your reviews over on iTunes, which is an easy way for you guys to support us. But this episode is also brought to you in partnership with Cardmarket, the largest online retailer for cards, for Pokemon cards, which is great actually because I just remembered that there's a new set out. There's the mini set that's literally just dropped. Uh,
I
I
think
thought
it's
that,
this Friday.
yeah. So if you want some singles from the new set or some packs, because it's one of those like I imagined very collectible sets. Go check out Card Market.
Yeah, there's this Charizard card in there, right?
There's
Um,
always a Charizard card, man. They must have a put like this is. Oh, we're already off topic. Great to be back. But there must be a guy whose sole purpose is to draw Charizard cards because there's so many of them. Um, but it's going to
Charizard
be a
is a
funny
cool
one.
Pokemon.
You
Can't
see
blame
that?
it.
You see that cool though?
He's pretty cool, yeah.
Okay, well,
But most of the Gen 1 Pokemon are cool. Um,
yeah. Yeah. Do we need a 20th shiny Charizard card when we could have a shiny Venusaur instead?
Venusaur would be nice as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. So, a lot's happened since we were last recording. We've had basically a whole month, or the best part of the month, go by between episodes, which has seen the return. Well, a couple of major bits of news. We'll start with the shorter bit of news, and the one that I think we all kind of suspected that the season has been at least suspended until the beginning of next year, which we all kind of knew was going to happen. There was no way that you could really do large scale events everywhere, and there was no point of doing it if you could only do it in one country. So, yeah, that was announced that the season is officially suspended for a bit longer, but that's fine. There's plenty of online tournaments.
Yeah, no surprise there, really. And the season would have already started if we had a season. And it's probably not the last delay we'll have, but let's hope for the best.
Yeah, well, we can only hope. But as well as all the unofficial tournaments we've had, there's so many unofficial tournaments now. I think it works out that you can play a like 100 to 200 person event on average, basically every day of the week now, if you wanted to. It's kind of insane. Uh, but we also have the return of the official event for Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. Players Cup 2 has been announced. Uh, we should have really done an episode before the registration deadline so we could remind people, hey, this is how you need to sign up. But things are a little different this time, which I kind of dig.
I mean, to sign up, you just had to log into your account, right?
Yeah. Um,
I,
but I
I
know a
hope.
few people who had to like dig up their old ancient PTCGO accounts that they haven't used in years to make sure that they could. But yeah, as far as I know, it was just log in.
But yeah, they made a lot of really cool changes to the tournament. Like nothing unexpected, because the tournament keys they were added a while ago, so
Mhm.
everyone kind of knew this was gonna happen. But yeah, really nice changes. And they basically just give everyone equal opportunities to qualify for the Players Cup now,
Yeah,
which was
so
like the main complaint we've seen for like the Players Cup 1, right?
Yep. Well, yeah. Basically, that was the biggest issue leveled at how Players Cup One worked was if you had a large number of tournament tickets, you could enter more tournaments, so you were almost guaranteed to qualify. I'm not saying that's how I did it, but I had 800 tickets at the start, and I had 200 left at the end. So if I was in one way or another that way. Um, so this time instead, it's 50 tournament tickets, and I think they've said now that it's one tournament ticket to enter one event.
Yes, so everyone can play exactly 50 tournaments.
Yeah.
And the point system has also been changed. So now losing the first round does not award any points anymore.
Mhm.
So like actually winning games in those tournaments will be very valuable.
Well, it's also, if I remember, it's now not dependent on your exact finish. It's like if you are top eight, top four, then second, first and second, right?
Yes, like,
Which is better because this idea of somehow you finished fifth, which meant you got points, but really that just meant you lost to the person who won. Like, well, why do you deserve more points for losing in round one?
yeah, like last time the qualification period it was basically a raffle of who gets into the
Mhm.
real Players Cup,
Yep.
which I mean it wasn't the worst thing ever. It's just it was random. Like some people just like most people that wanted to get in still got in, I think. I don't
Mhm.
think it was that bad. But yeah, this new system, it's like an actual competitive way to determine the players that get to participate in the Players Cup.
Yeah, I heard it described as the effectively the qualification period last time was just a registration process. Effectively, it was just effectively registering for a tournament. Because if you wanted to get in, you probably could. Even if you had no tickets at the start, you could probably get close to qualifying in a lot of regions. In some regions, I think you could accidentally qualify by winning a single tournament. I'm not naming names, but Australia, I see you. Um, so I think that was kind of this is a much better system, but I don't think it will ultimately change the fact that those who want to get in will. I don't think each region is going to have that many more than 256 people who actively try to qualify.
Well, I think we will have more people trying than last time. I think last time
Mhm.
probably some people saw, oh, I don't have a lot of tickets right now. I won't even try. While this time, it's not really a reason to not at least like play the first few
Mhm.
tournaments, see how it goes, and if you win a few of those, maybe like try a bit harder to qualify. Like I don't think it will be like a free qualification like it was last time. I think qualifying for this Players Cup will actually be um, like like pretty much an achievement that one can be proud of.
So I'm not super sure about it because for most people who qualify for the original Players Cup, yes, okay, we'll have more people potentially trying. But for most people, they probably played a lot less than 50 tournaments and qualified. And if you played a lot less than 50 tournaments and qualified, well, now you can play 50. Like now you can. If you don't play 50 tournaments, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, which means that it's more of a grind, if anything, right? Of those people who want to grind out 50 tournaments, statistically more likely to get there than someone who just tries to spike a few in terms of time commitment. So I'm not convinced this is necessarily the best way of doing it. Still, it's a more fair way, yes. But now this basically means that if I want to sit here and do nothing with my time except for play 50 tournaments, I'm probably in because a lot of people are going to have other things they need to do.
And you have a month to do that, so it's like
Yeah.
maybe like play 2 tournaments a day, which takes like I don't know, it, depending on how you do it, like you probably like will be done in less than an hour.
Mhm.
So it's probably not that big of a commitment, but yeah, not really sure how it goes, but um, that's the system in general. It's like closest we we've all been to like a competitive ladder
Yep.
on TCGO, and
Yep.
I really like it overall.
Mhm.
And it's great that they actively try to make it better from last time, which means they might maybe do even more stuff in the future. Like it's just really nice that like the company um, they actually changed like the online game specifically for us, the competitive players.
Mhm.
Really cool.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, not something that we're necessarily used to seeing because the competitive players make up a fairly small part of the total user base. Well, of like the total player base for Pokemon in general, and even just like we're a drop in the ocean on PTCGO numbers. So it's kind of cool that there's been a switch. That said, will you be trying to qualify?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if I will. Um, it's largely dependent on how they plan to run the finals, as it were, because I didn't particularly enjoy that experience last time. Nothing wrong with the website they used. That was fine. The way it worked was mostly okay. I just don't think double elimination spread over 3 weekends makes for a tournament that could be run in a day to take place over 3 weekends just so they could stream it is kind of ridiculous, and I'm not a big fan of that system.
So this time it's gonna be over 2 weekends. Like,
Okay.
we didn't change that much, but yeah, it's 1 weekend got cut, which I think makes sense.
Mhm,
Splitting it in 2 is, I guess, fine. They don't want people to have to play for, like, I don't know, 10 hours if they
mhm.
want to qualify. So doing it over 2 weekends, I think is fine. Um, as for double elimination, I'm not the biggest fan of this system, um, because like we have some people qualifying like with just 7 or 8 games, and then others who had to win like 12 games. I
So
don't think it's particularly fair.
mhm,
Because like in a game like Pokemon, you can always lose a match, right?
mhm,
It's
mhm.
like there's bad matchups, there's like some variance. So you shouldn't really punish people for losing early as compared to losing late. Which in some games, double elimination makes total sense, but I think for a trading card game, it's not a good system. But I also don't mind it that much. I think it's it's like kind of a bit more hype than Swiss tournaments, I guess. I think competitively it's a worse system, but for something like the Players Cup, like it's fine if they wanted to run it that way. I would prefer a Swiss tournament, but yeah, it's not the biggest deal for me personally.
S so I kinda hate double elim, bearing in mind that I was potentially someone who could have benefited most from it in Players Cup 1 because I had a really good start to the tournament. I didn't lose until basically, like, I lost 2 winning ends in a row. So I potentially could have got qualified with 7 rounds to make it in. The the issue I actually have with it is timing because I understand this whole thing of not this was also kind of how it was run. But this whole idea of at least with Swiss rounds, like you have like a reliable round time. So if you finish early, you can go and do something, right? And like you can take a break and it's fine, or you can't go and do something, right? Because you have a round coming up or something like that. With the way it was kind of run in a when your match is ready play, not great. But also, if you lost in the winners bracket, you could often be waiting at least an hour. In some cases, I heard up to like two and a bit for the losers bracket to catch up to you to play your game. And that sucks for both parties because one person's now sat around going, well, I've got to play an important game at some point today and they can't go and do anything else. And it also kind of sucks for the person who then has to also play an important game, but has literally just come out of a thing, and the other guy's had a 2.5 hour break. So it's like timing needs improvement, I think, for Double Elim to make much sense.
Yeah, they had a schedule, I believe, but, so the schedule was basically when you had to be there,
Yep.
like, latest. But you could start your match earlier, which makes sense because if both, players are ready, why would you make them wait an hour
Mhm.
so they can start them? But yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but yeah, like, some people, they have a really, like, they have barely any waiting time, others have to wait a lot. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. But once again, it's like it's not the biggest deal, I think. What I just don't like is how losing early is punished that much.
Mhm.
But yeah, like maybe at some point they will change the Players' Cup structure, but for now, I still think it's fine
Mhm.
overall. And like I'm looking forward to it. I think the tournament, like the first one, was fun to play in overall, and I really enjoyed the stream as well. So
Mhm.
it's really cool that there's a second one. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I would prefer. I still want the stream to be live. I think that just adds so much more to it, or at least with less of a delay. Because if you know people who are in the Players' Cup, you know the results anyway. Probably, like, it, or word gets out some way, shape, or form in a lot of cases. So having the whole like basically a week delay was kind of weird.
Yeah,
But
for the regional qualifiers for the double elimination bracket, yeah, sure, everyone saw the bracket if they played in it themselves.
mhm.
But for the finals, I don't like. I personally, I knew people in the tournament. I didn't know any of
Yeah,
them.
sure. Yeah, I was gonna say for the finals, yeah, it's fine. 16 people, right? Like it's much easier to get 16 people to not say anything. But when you have 256 people per continent who could, all it takes is for one person to say something, and then word gets out. So it's not
Like,
great.
those were not supposed to be like that secret. I believe it's
Yeah.
because like if the bracket is literally public on Battlefy, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, it's just
Hey, I don't know. I don't know how Battlefy works. We killed it last time. Last time I was in charge of Battlefy, we killed it. So let's not trust me and how I think Battlefy works. Uh, so yeah, I'm interested in it, but I'm also I'm not convinced I'm going to play. That might also be more of a reflection on my thoughts on this format, to be honest. Because oh boy, am I bored of this format. There's a new set coming out on Friday. I've looked through. There's nothing in it that makes me like even vaguely excited. This format is I'm kind of done with it, to be honest. To the point where I've been playing Blounds and nothing but Blounds. I'm like, all right, at least I'm invested. You know, I might whiff. Who knows? I might. I never whiff. It's Blounds. It's weirdly consistent now. But you know, at least there's an edge to that. Versus, oh, I've got the turn one attach on the ADP. Pass. Well, I've got the turn two altered creation. I've got boss in hand. I win. It's kind of boring.
I honestly haven't played too much in it. I've been doing I've been busy with our stuff, but I've watched like good amount of tournament streams.
Mhm.
Like usually on like Mondays and Friday, I watch like first I don't know like 3 4 rounds of a hex
Mhm.
thing, and yeah, like from what I've seen on there, like format looks fine to me. Like I don't know, maybe if I played like a lot of it, I would also get bored of it. But right now, I'm like I don't mind playing it for the Players Cup. So yeah,
Mm, no, no, I'm not convinced. I think this is a terrible format, but there we go. Like,
from what I've seen, it has gotten like a lot more centralized over the past like 2 weeks or so.
mhm,
Where Eternatus and like Eternatus and ADPZ have been like the most successful decks for basically um or like the most played decks for most of the format, but not by that much. And in the past 2 weeks or so, it seemed like the meta share got a lot bigger than it used to be. like
Well,
now we are seeing tournaments where 50% or even more of the meta is just Eternatus or ADPZ,
mhm.
um, which probably gets boring after a while if you just play against ADPZ or Eternatus all day. Um, but
Well, I'm not. I'm not saying it's a coincidence, but that centralization happened around about the time of the Players' Cup announcement, right?
maybe
Like,
maybe people want to play more like prepare more seriously now. That
yeah.
could actually be true.
So what I'm thinking is that for a while we had really no events to prepare for, right? There's obviously the weekly events, and some of the tournaments had like a monthly, like a slightly bigger event that they run, but there's no real stakes on the line in most of those, right? There's not a reason to want to be playing seriously.
Like you can win like 50 packs if you win one.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not bad. It's like you can do a lot online with 50 packs, but yeah, it's not like it's not comparable to a regional or anything.
No.
It
So
it's pretty much for fun, yeah.
so I think as soon as there was then something that kind of has worthwhile prizing, right? It's basically the equivalent of finishing top 22, right? In terms of like for a quarter, for Europe anyway, of travel to internationals. But I think the issue is really, you know, people went, okay, well, I've got to play a good deck now. And when you actually sit and look at the format and stop playing it for fun, you realize that the good decks are ADP, ADPZ, Eternatus. I would also include Luke Metalization somewhere in my top.
Like I think Center Scotch has been very solidly the number 3
Yeah.
in the meta game, and I think Center Scotch actually performed better than its meta share mostly. I think from just like success to how much it's been played, I think Center Scotch has been doing quite well,
Mhm.
at least more recently.
Well, but I think that's partly because it actually has pretty good matchups against both of the Eternatus and the ADPZ because of the fact that it's capable of one hit knocking them out. And this is really where we fall into the idea of a healthy format as an abstract concept. Is the entire game right now is warped, and this is not a format point. This is whoever was in charge of card design should probably no longer be in charge of card design, or whoever came up with VMAX as being a good idea, because the entire thing now is entirely built about can you one hit knockout a VMAX slash ADP, and if the answer is no, you get put in the garbage bin and you're left there. And then when you actually look at it, there are three decks that can reliably do that. There's ADPZ can't one shot, but it doesn't matter because it just plays off the bench. Eternus can, and at the very least has 340 hit points, which is just far too many. And then Center Scorch, which is actually one of the few decks who can actually reach those numbers.
I think like
And that's
the
it.
VMAX are mostly just about two-hit KOing each other. It's like one-hit KO. Like, there were some Eternatus list at the beginning with the scoop up nets and everything that could one-hit KO other VMAX, but I think the lists that ended up the most successful were not including all that and were yeah, just a regular, consistent Eternatus lists that went for a two-hit KO.
Mhm. Yeah, I just. Well, okay. Well, in that case, the way I'd phrase it is more. Do you force everything to two hit KO you? I think is the way I would phrase the centralization thing of you have to have enough hit points that everything has to. If you can be one hit KO'd in this format, and it's not as if it's a lower number of HP, right? That is the issue with if you're one hit KO'd in this format. It's still like 200 on hit points.
Yeah, like the
That's kind of
VMAX have
terrible.
a really high power level. Um, But I mean, the game is designed around the VMAX Pokemon currently. They have the big things like the art on the booster packs. They have the
Hmm.
thing that the game's advertised with. I mean, of course, they are gonna be the most strongest cards. It's like the like the main mechanic of of a current series is always like has always the best
Mhm,
cards, and
mhm.
so that's not really surprising. And ADPZ kind of like sticks in there because just being able to boss to support Pokemon is just so good.
Yep.
If Eternatus like or Centiskorch, if they were not as like if they didn't play that many support Pokemon, I think ADPZ wouldn't be that good. But yeah, that part about the deck is really good. Um,
Slash a problem because there is something to be said about you want to play an interactive game against the other person. And if the level of interaction is I have had to play a support Pokemon and I lose, that's not really the interaction I think people design card games around.
yeah, like I think on one hand, like cards like Dedenne and Crobat are obviously really good, so it makes sense for them to be a liability and to be for there to be a downside of playing them. Because like usually like if you just play with free prizers, you can put so as many Dedenne as you want on your bench. It doesn't really matter. The boss on Dedenne is like it's not really it doesn't do anything. You still need to
Hmm.
do your VMAX after that. Um, but with ADPZ, there's actually something that punishes the Dedenne and Crobats. So in theory, it could be said like ADPZ should slow down the game even, but that's obviously not how it works out in practice. Like right now, everyone's just playing those support Pokemon anyway. Um, like you can play Centiskorch with greens, and I actually think that
Hmm.
like I would play it with greens right now, but um, the ability versions of the decks are just much more like popular. And yeah, again, and Eternatus always has to put down Crobats. They can't really do anything like around that. So Eternatus and AD, players basically just accept that they lose against boss, and then the
Yep.
game become really random because like both players like before the match already know how it's gonna go. Like either you hit the boss or you don't. It's like yeah, like I wasn't really like for the ADP ADP ban or like
Hmm.
discussion, and I still don't really care too much about it. I think like in general I don't hate ADPZ, but
Hmm.
just to like freshen up the meta or something, like it will probably like not be a bad decision.
Which kind of leads into like of the tournaments that have banned it, things that you wouldn't expect tend to do well. But there we have to kind of be a little bit cautious with saying, "Oh, well, see, clearly it's fine," because those are for fun tournaments where the whole point is you can play something stupid because, or something that you wouldn't normally play and go a bit crazy with what you want to play because ADP is banned. Right? The whole point is that like those are going to have biased results towards showing that ADP is the problem. You have to think who's going to sign up to a tournament with ADP banned. People who would like to see it banned, and they're going to play something that they go, see, this deck is good without it. And then when all those decks do well, it's more because there were just lots of them rather than they were necessarily good decks, is how I kind of feel. Um, but I think it makes a big difference to the format. And I think that's one of those decisions that if I were in charge of bans for Pokemon, probably a good job I'm not. But if I were, with how much people are probably playing online right now, I think maybe making a ban to slightly shake up the format is probably not a bad idea. It's kind of like how a, other games will like nerf a character or tweak things ever so slightly, not necessarily because it's dominating, but because it freshens things up. And that's kind of where I think Pokemon might be at right now. It would maybe benefit from being freshened up.
And what I think would be a good solution for um like freshening up, like not necessarily the format, just like the like tournament scene in general is making expanded more of a thing because
Mhm.
I'm sure I've talked about it before, but if you play like standard for like I don't know like 6 weeks and then expand it for another 6 weeks, and then the new set already comes out, then you can go back to standard. That's a lot more variety, right?
Mhm.
But right now there's the problem that Pokemon themselves they abandoned expanded for the time being, and which
Yeah.
is very awkward. Um, but yeah, I still think expanded could solve this issue. I don't know if it's really an issue. Like, um, I
Well,
personally don't really mind playing standard, but I haven't been grinding it all day or
mhm.
so. Yeah,
Well, it's I think something that we as a community are very used to is this is our game mode. Right? This is our game. We have for most people you have standard Pokemon, right? That's it. Whereas if you look even like look at the VGC, right? You have the official VGC, which has like tons of different seasons with different rules. Then you only have to go onto like any of the clients on like playing online, and there's tons of formats. There's loads of old, like they're all unofficial, of course, but like there's all the old formats. There's Little Cup. There's all these different rules, and because of how our online client is built, we don't really have the luxury of having other game modes to go and take, to go take a break in.
I really, really wish there were old format rules on
Yep.
PTCGO. It's so annoying having to do these like work around with passing your turn so you can play the support turn 1, and then effects like Lily or Volcanion just get completely ruined. I
Mhm.
I really dislike that. It's like one of the main reasons why I haven't really been playing old format tournaments recently.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's not really an old format. It's like a weird broken version of it.
I think old formats should be played on TCG1 and not on PTCGO. But there's the problem that the interface is not really nice. It's not as enjoyable
Mhm.
to play as on PTCGO.
Mhm.
It's more like it's closer to like old like simulations without pictures or anything than to actually like an online game. So I can understand if people would prefer just like playing PTCGO with workarounds. But really, it would be so much easier if we just could select I don't know like Sun and Moon rules or like there were actually not many rule changes ever since Black and White, right? They would have to give us like I don't know 2 different rule sets in addition to the current one, and that's
Yeah,
arbitrary.
I think so. It wouldn't be a massive change. And I think I mean we obviously know the client can support it because it's had these rule sets before. It just needs a button to select it somewhere.
Yeah, it would could be confusing for newer players that just like download the game, just play the newest thing. But you can even hide it really well. You don't have to make it an
Mhm.
option that's like a main option. You can as long as it's somewhere and you tell people how to find it, you can put it anywhere really. So
Well,
just so people can do friend challenges with like
well,
rules. That would
all you do is on the current friend challenges, currently there's the tick box, right, to do a timed game. You move that tick box and everything else into a advanced tab, which means the new players aren't going to click on it because they're scared of the word advanced. Is probably the thinking, right? You click on advanced, then you go in, and in there you then have the tick box for timer, and then your optional rules, right? And like you have a rule set thing, right? From a UI perspective, that is the way that you hide it from newer players. You just took it one step deeper in a place that they're probably not going to go into unless they're looking for it.
Yeah, it really would not be complicated at all for them to implement, I'm sure. And it would give tournament organizers a lot more options
Mhm.
like for just tournaments. It would be very, very appreciated if that was a thing. But
Yep.
yeah,
And but it just opens up again. It effectively gives you more game mode, right? And ways to engage with the game, which is what people want to do. But if you only have one way to engage with the game, and right now anyone who plays the Pokemon trading card game only really can engage with the game via PTCGO, well,
Yeah.
there's only so many ways you can actually play PTCGO right now, and just giving us those options makes it suddenly way more.
We basically only have PTCGO standard right now because PTCGO expanded is kind of broken, and like you can play it, you can just avoid random shaman donk decks, but I I I guess it's not really that fun if you hit like donk or Trevnor decks all the time. It probably it's not the most enjoyable game mode overall right now. So,
No.
yeah, it would be nice if PTCGO gave us like a bit more. Yeah, that's I guess we kind of got a bit off topic with that.
This is probably why people don't listen to the podcast. Uh, except for those of you who are still here, in which case we thank you for putting up with our rambling. Me and Robin haven't had a conversation about this in a while. Um, but no, Players Cup is going to be interesting because it gives people more of a reason to play, well, which can help. A lot of people are feeling demotivated because it's just been so long since we've had in-person events, and it's going to be a lot longer before we get them again. And people are just kind of starting to go, "Oh, but why do I bother playing the game? Like, if you don't get anything back." And at least the Players Cup 2 is sort of something where you can get back from. Also, I'm super looking forward to the qualification period, simply because it means that there'll be Twitch streams basically all the time of people streaming their qualification. Like, or at least I'm hoping there is, because those are always super cool. Like, you just go and chill and watch someone play a couple of tournament runs, and it kind of made a community just about qualifying. Um, so I think that might be nice.
Yeah, like uh, personally, like the Players Cup does give me motivation to play more. Like I'm planning to like do some testing before like jumping into the tournaments, and I'm planning to play all 50
Mhm.
probably. So yeah, haven't been playing that much, but now for Players Cup, we'll definitely do more again.
Coming out of retirement, you heard it here first.
Not really retired.
Okay, so that more or less wraps it up. We can discuss decks and stuff at the Players Cup, I guess, once we've played in a few of the tournaments. Because I think it starts on Friday, I believe, is the qualification period when it starts. It might even be actually have the date. What's the date today? 23rd.
It's like Wednesday or
Uh, the day is Wednesday, yes, Robin. Uh, I think it's the end of this week. So by that, hopefully, next week we'll have played potentially in a couple of tournaments to be able to give our thoughts. So, Robin, it's been a month. Do you have anyone that you want to shout out from any time in the last couple of weeks?
um I don't like maybe just general thoughts. Like if you're not sure what to play for the Players Cup
Hmm.
and you want to get better at the game, you might want to check out Todd's stream, who has been who started streaming very recently and he has been
Hmm.
streaming almost daily for like a week or two, which is like very cool. I, I've been watching a lot of it myself, and yeah, he's built so many like crazy decks and actually like had a really big influence on the meta game. I feel like just by streaming his testing
Hmm.
for like the Players Cup or just general, it's really cool to see. And it's not really just taught. A lot of really good players started streaming over the past few months. Um, like for example, even like Henry Brand, the current world champion, and like Isaiah Bradner, who just recently
Hmm.
won Talk championships, like and a lot more. Like so many great players who started streaming. So yeah, I'm sure most of people who listen to this are already aware of this. But if you don't, then yeah, take a look at PTCGO on Twitch. There's there's a lot of great content on there right now.
Hmm. There's also been some cool speed runs. I know Pedro has been doing a lot of weird, invented speed runs to see how quick he can do certain things, which they're always interesting because sometimes he has to play Butterfree VMAX as a card, and you question why anyone would put himself through that. Um, so shout wise, just a shout out basically to the general uh, community that I've been. I don't tweet much, but I'm always on Twitter. Um, for there was a period where everyone was ranting, like rating favorite like fast food chains, and no one's done one for the UK. I might still sit down and do it. But the streams that came out of that and all the Twitter arguments were a lot of fun to read for someone who hasn't eaten in the vast majority of these places. So I just want to shout out the community as a whole for whatever that madness was. And can we do more of that, please? Because it was a lot of fun. Um, Nothing to do with the game, but now I know where to eat if I ever go to NAIC. So that's great. So with that, thank you very much, guys, for listening. And we'll try and not be as long between episodes this next time. And hopefully, we will actually speak to you guys